With me this morning is the Honorable Minister of Labor, Mrs. Glynis Roberts. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you very much.
There's just been plans for a community center in Morn-too, right?
Yes.
So just tell us a little bit about, the plans. There was a ceremony as well. So how was that?
Let me start off by thanking Daybreak for the opportunity to highlight what we've been doing in the constituency. I'm here as parliamentary rep, not Minister of Labor.
Okay.
And also to say it's not a community center. We want to get away from that community thinking, that community centers, that's where you have parties on a Sunday. So we're calling it the Morn-too Grandance Valley Community Complex, because we had the sword turning ceremony last Thursday. This project is part of a grouping that the Venezuelan government are giving to our country. We have the St. George's Market that's being refurbished. And then we have also the Tantine playing field, and we have Morn-too, where we are going to do a complex. Because as you know, Morn-too Grandance Valley, it's an area where we have quite a number of people living. I would say between 2,000 to 4,000 persons. And within that grouping, we have quite a number of young people. And we think the time is right for us to be able to deliver something to them. And not just something, but we have like computer room, a pavilion, so that we can actually have sports being played there. Changing room, library facilities. We want to also have a community bookstore where we can be able to sell stationery and stuff like that.
Nice. So just tell us about the ceremony. You said it was last Thursday.
Yeah.
So who attended this ceremony?
It was attended by the Prime Minister, cabinet ministers, the Ambassador of Venezuela that you're seeing there. That's Honorable Joseph Gilbert, you're seeing with the hard hat. We had community persons as well. I think that's Minister David with his back turned. And I must say here that when the project, Minister David, when he was Minister of Foreign Affairs, he asked us to bring community projects so that he can take to the Venezuelan government. And just to stick a pin about the environment, our initial plans were done by TVA consultants, and I want to thank them very much for that. It was done pro bono, no charge to the community. And when it was actually done in wood, canvas and stone. Pretty, but when this project went to Venezuela, President Chavez said, no, we're not cutting trees. So we had to sort of transform it into concrete.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. The contract was awarded. Actual work should begin by next week, so that we'll be able to have employment within the area. I also want to warn that there is a high unemployment rate, so we would try to see as much people that can get a job. But we also have to be cognizant of the fact that there's certain skills that would be required so that we get a well done, finished product. So the contractor will be working with us to see how many people he can engage. And that's the purpose of creating jobs within the area.
So would the project be done in phases, or everything is going to be done one time?
No, everything will be done at one time. It's costing 1.1 million EC dollars. So it's a big project. But as I said, the playing area was cut for the people since in the 80s. And it was never developed. Sometime a few years ago, a playground was put there for the smaller children. But with the playground being there, it's not conducive for, let's say, a proper soccer match or, let's say, cricket. And as it is, all persons cannot use it at the same time. In other words, that when the children are playing, you cannot have a proper match. But there is enough land space that we can have this facility there and move the playground in such a way that the children will not be harmed while the elder ones are playing.
Okay, so this is in the pasture area in
Morn-too.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people do not know where it is. But you can access it either either way, because you know Montu has quite a number of ins and out. When you come up from Food Fair, you can take that road that can take you straight over to Mount Hartman, so you get down to the bottom there. Or coming up Grandins Valley, you can so access by the Pan House, not too far from Hubbard's coming up.
Right.
So it's not too far away. But I think it's a project that we are very proud to deliver, because it's an area, it's one of our areas that really needs that sort of facility so that our people can grow and learn quite a bit. And it's a facility that can be accessed not only by Montu Grandins Valley people, but Mount Hartman, people in the Limes, or even as far as Coffee Bow Hill. Because one of the things we have to also realize is that the topography of Grenada, and because of the land distribution as it is now before us, there isn't much open spaces that you can do much buildings. So that one will have to serve purpose for quite a bit. So because we would not be able to put one in Grandins proper, because if you visualize what the land mass is, you wouldn't be able to just stick community centers all over. So it will also encourage that synergy with communities so that they can come together and develop. Right. One of the things we also trying to do is that while we go gradually into the construction phase, that we will have a management committee in place so that we can meet weekly with the contractors, so that by the time the facility is done, we have a proper management structure. Because in this world of scarce resources, we do not want a facility that's not being taken care of properly. So we want to be able to have it for years and years and years, for generations to come. And the only way we can do that is that the community should take ownership. My idea is to invite communities that are successful in this country, like St. Paul's and Mount Morris, to come and speak with us so that we can understand what are the practices they have implemented to be able to have a successful communities going.
Right. So what is the response from the residents of the area so far?
I would say mixed, because I think people are wary of politicians' promises. And because of that, they are hesitant. Some are excited, some are saying, I'm not getting on board until I see something happening. So they would have seen the sword turning ceremony, but I don't think they are yet convinced that this is happening unless they see bulldozers coming in and, you know, cement truck and all of that. So I am hopeful that they will soon understand what it is that is coming, because, as I said, people are wary of politicians saying this is coming and they're not seeing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I noticed you have a plan here with you.
Yes.
So we can actually verify that the project is on the way.
Yes, and I want to also say that it was done by the Ministry of Works, you know, the engineering team, and I want to also thank them very much, the CTO, the Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Works, Mr. Cecil Harris, and Engineer Amnarain, and the QS, Mr. Belfont, because they have worked tirelessly together with the Venezuelan consulting firm, which is Barry's, of what is going to happen there. As I said, we want to have a facility that we can do most things rather than just one thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's various sections in here, as we can see.
Yes. This is the ground floor plan, and the ground floor is where we would have the library. We'll have 2 offices, a bookstore. We have the washrooms there. And then we also have a changing area, because we also want to move up a notch, meaning that if a team from St. Andrews is coming to play a team from our area, then you have proper lockers and all of that, you know. You don't have to hang up your clothes on the trees. Yes. So, and on the top floor, the first floor, we have, we need to show it again to the camera. But the first floor, that's where we have the main hall, kitchen, because we also want to be able to teach things. Some people have different skill base. Some people can do good cooking, and particularly now where we have to be looking at our health, we want to be able to teach people how to do proper planning, partner with the Food and Nutrition Council, so that we can get, you know, positive things in the area going.
Nice. So what other projects do you have in Montu area or within your constituency on a whole?
Well, in terms of new, this is the one that we've been able to come up with. We have had completed some minor roads. We have lots of drainage area, land issues, meaning that a lot of the areas in the south are developed areas, meaning government sold the lands, but there are not infrastructure in place, meaning that you do not have roads going to the homes, although the roads are allowed, but we do not have construction of the roads and drains. So it's always difficult for the residents, particularly during the rainy season, and that's too one of the things that get them agitated. In other words, I need the road, I need the road. But I also want to say and to warn that while as parliamentary reps, most of us would like to do all the things that are needed, the current economic status now, plus the reality that it's one treasury to do everything, and it's not only my constituency, but we have other constituencies, and added to that, we have things that we do not foresee, meaning when we had the rainstorm in Grenville, St. George's was dry, but St. Andrews was on the flood. Then we had flood in Gov, St. George's didn't have anything. So when things like that come up, it means that you have emergency works. So even if roads in certain constituency was earmarked to be done, it means that focus have to go now on moving people to their homes. Then you have the unfortunate things of house fires. When people houses burn, you have to help, and lots of other things that crop up that you would not have bargained for. So I want to urge that as we continue to govern, that people understand too that we need to be cognizant of the fact that the one treasury covers everything, health, education, everything. So I want to encourage persons to also to the revenues we collect is what we use to do development.
Right. And how do you cope with that? The fact that, you know, it is a bit difficult sometimes to deliver products and services. How do you cope with the fact that, you know, we are in a difficult time with as it regards recession and so?
What I try to do is to manage people's expectations. Now, not all persons like the truth. Sometimes people like you to sugarcoat and make promises, and I try not to do that, but to explain that we will try, and the best you can do is try. And I also have to understand as a parliamentary rep that the country have 15 constituencies and everything cannot happen in my constituency. I have to understand that other people need just as we would have needs, and I think we just have to keep trying and ensure that when things are done, that people take care of it. One of the things I think we struggle from in Grenada is that community spirit. I wish that we can build it and people can understand that when you build your community, you make life more comfortable for yourself in your immediate. And once that is done, we'll have a nation that's buoyant and moving. But lots of times, you know, even a little patch of bush in front of your gap, you think that the government, and that government, I don't know where this creature is, but the government is all of us. Because it's all of us vote in a government. And whatever we do contributes to the development of our country. In other words, you would have parliamentary representatives which move ever so often as the people choose. But at the end of the day, whatever is in the treasury belongs to all of us. So if we put less burden on, let's say, in terms of cleaning our neighborhoods, then more money can go into developing a better hospital so that we can deliver that service. Or we can put more laboratories into our schools so that our education that will take most of our people out of poverty can move another notch. So I think we have to understand that whatever we do and put into the development of our country is for our benefit. If you do something nice in your community, for example, we have community development. We would like to do a lot of little roads in communities, but how do we get the communities to come together? Because most communities will have tradespeople. How do we get them to say, let's work together, we give our labor, and then you get the material from government, and then you have your road, rather than waiting for the government, who is us, to do. So I think we have to change that way of thinking so that we can get our country moving. That sense of community, you know, we go back to when we say the community used to grow the children up. Now I would see you doing something wrong and, oh, I'm busy with my
iPod?
Pod, iMan, whatever man. You have tiki and nobody turning this way. I think we have to, while you would like to have that, but use some time to devote towards steering the community a little bit.
Right. Now, if you can permit me to just change your hat right now to be the Minister of Labor, can you just update us on the Grenada breweries and the Tawu issue?
Well, all I can say to you and the listening public is that where we at is that both sides have agreed that they have a conciliator deal with their matter. They both signed that we will not speak to the press. So it would be irresponsible of me to be able to diverge information. What I'm saying is that they are talking. Both sides are talking. It may seem that it's not happening, but I believe that in the fullness of time, both parties will agree. I want us to soothe our emotions and let whatever takes its course. I want to beg for perseverance. Like everything else in life, sometimes we expect things ASAP. But I would want to go to this instrument. And if you go straight, I will come in contact with that light. I can either push the light down, or I can retreat, make a left, make a right, and then I get there. So not all things that will come before the Ministry of Labor we'll be able to sort out immediately. Some we can. So this one, it's a kind of bumpy ride, but I think we should just fasten our seatbelts and hold on.
Right. Would you say that Grenada is becoming a more unstable industrial climate?
I wouldn't say so at all. I also want to say, and I think that's something that most of us would have missed, is that from January 1, we had an increase in our minimum wage. I was so pleased when I got a magazine from the International Labour Organization's regional office that it was featured in the magazine that Grenada has shifted the minimum wage after 10 years. And that is big news, because the people, particularly the security guards who were getting $4 an hour, is now moved to $6 an hour, and from January 2013 will move to $8 an hour. That too was a rocky road because some people needed time because of financing and everything else. But that too, we have domestic workers who are now moving from a minimum wage of probably $400 to $750 a month, or $725. So that is positive news that nobody picked up on. But that is the reality. That is gradually we will get there. But I think for industrial climate, I think we're doing quite well, because just in January, the Labour Commissioner was able to sign off with 2 entities for increases for their staff, which is only one issue, positive, and it's only one issue we have lagging from 2011 into 2012. And I am 100% certain that it will be resolved.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, independence is coming around.
Yes.
So what are your plans for independence?
We continue to encourage persons to understand what independence is all about and to take that national pride. I must commend our people for their continuous, you know, buoyancy. I would have heard and seen pictures of what's happening in Carriacou, which I think is very good. In my own constituency, there is a village, Janangle, that did their decoration. They planted plants, they did things with the shells and the seashells and all of that. Very nice. They came out in their numbers. I think I saw old kerosene stove, miss. I didn't even know. And the gentleman said, miss, it walk in. Yeah. So, and you know, this long ago silver wash pan that you knew of, but don't know, because we now have nice chrome that you would sell here at Creative Do It Best. And we were trying in Woodlands. We have this, the intersection, Woodlands to go
Vicky
Spring.
Cross Road, yes.
Vicky Cross. You didn't know that's my pet. And we were trying there to put spices in. But based on everything else, we were not able for this year. But come next year, please the Lord, we'll be able to establish a proper spice garden, because we're going to plant actually today our nutmegs, cinnamon and bay leaf, cocoa, so that we can bring the spice closer down
to town.
But what we did over the years was to plant those trees, so we have that foliage that keep it cooler. So we're trying that, and unfortunately, and I want to put a little plug here for the unfortunate death of Lorena, because she too was working with us in terms of putting, you know, humpback bridge over, because our land is bordering each other. In actual fact, when we developed the area, we encroached quite a bit on her land. We've planted a lot of trees on her land, but she was not at all upset. She said we would work together. So we were working together in actual fact. We tried to light the area. In actual fact, we got the electricity from her place. And that sort of jolted me a bit. So we now moving forward, we've put up a nice sign, you know, Happy Independence Grenade. I don't know if you noticed it.
Yes, and it's well decorated
and well
as well.
decorated as well.
Yeah.
So we're trying, you know, to see how we can, you know, continue on. But I also want to say for Independence that people should go out. We have the church service on Sunday in the St. Andrew's Anglican Church, and we have the parade, and I think it starts at 1:30 with that kind of cultural bit, and then we have the military parade. It's our day. I think we should continue to see how we can beautify, but I'm always wary of the painting. So that's why we have done trees. I also had a not pleasant experience in that we decorated the lagoon, the Caroni James Boulevard, and they stole all the decorations of the trees.
Oh my.
No good. But again, that's part of everything else. You have the good days, you have the bad days. So we have to take it and see how we can do better next year, probably put them down firmer, or, you know, something of the sort.
Yeah.
But it's all about cleaning the area and making it look good, and I think we've done quite well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, I'm going to wish you happy independence from now.
Thank you, and I would wish you as well.
Thank
the same,
you.
and all the staff at Daybreak and those who are doing this wonderful job. I want to thank you for the opportunity as well.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your plans in one too.
Yes.
And we wish you all the best on that project.
Thank you very much.
All right.